Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Linda Stryskuth, a member with the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose candidates and works to provide information about candidates and issues before the voters. We are interviewing the candidates that will appear on your primary ballot, which you should receive in the mail mid-July. We are asking each candidate 3 questions. The candidates will have 90 seconds to answer each question. Now let's get to know Jeff Coughlin. Mr. Coughlin, you'll have 90 seconds to introduce yourself and tell us why you chose to run for the office of mayor for the city of Bremerton.
All right, so hey everybody, Jeff Coughlin running for mayor. I'm the son of a single working mom, raised both my brother and I on our own. I'm a long-term Bremertonian. I've been with my husband, Nick. We're married for over 15 years. He is a worker at the shipyard, and we're raising our young son, Max, in this community. Professionally, I'm a PhD astronomer. I'm a certified professional project manager, and I've worked on big things. I was at NASA for over 10 years, where I worked on the Kepler mission, 5 of those as a director. So I've managed big teams, big budgets, and worked across many organizations to get things done and communicate results. Locally, I volunteer as the director for the Kitsap History Museum right downtown. I'm on city council, and I've served as city council president, elected by my peers. And in that time, I've tried to work together to get the best ideas from our community and not be afraid to tackle the tough issues that Bremerton is facing as a growing city. And I'm running for mayor because I have not seen the incumbent do that. It's why I'm endorsed by every sitting city council member who's weighing in on this race, past mayors, several past council presidents, and leaders across Bremerton. I'm also endorsed by the Kitsap Central Labor Council and Washington Conservation Action. Also endorsed by LGBTQ Victory Fund and 314 Action, as I'd be the first openly gay mayor of Bremerton and its first scientist mayor. I know I have the skills, experience, and abilities to tackle our tough issues and really bridge a brighter Bremerton in this time of unprecedented growth and challenges.
Thank you, Mr. Coughlin. Now for our first question. Please share with us your top priorities or issues that you'd like to address if elected and why you believe they are important for Bremerton.
Thank you. Bremerton is facing real issues as a growing city that have not improved over the last 8 years under the incumbent mayor. First of all, public safety. We have to acknowledge there has been a rapid rise in crime. Crime in Bremerton has increased 10 times faster than the state. So we need more officers working hand in hand with our community at events and bringing back things like the bike patrol. And we also need code enforcement. One of the most important things is to address issues early before they become a problem. I met a couple whose home burned down just last year because of a fire that started next door. And that next door house had been reported as a nuisance property to the city of Bremerton for a decade, and nothing was done. And ultimately, a fire broke out due to folks in that building, and it consumed the folks I know, it consumed their house. And so we need to address issues early before they escalate. Second is housing. We've seen home prices for both renters and buyers just surge by 50% over the past 8 years. And we need more housing, all types of housing, while still preserving our green space. One of the first things we need to do is fix our city's broken permit system, which is a big barrier to that, as well as encourage smart zoning so that we preserve the character of our neighborhoods while making sure that everyone has a place to live. In transportation, we need to make sure we have a connected community where folks can live, work, and thrive. This includes not just cars, but folks who are hiking, biking, rolling, and strolling. We need to make it easier to connect. And finally, homelessness is an ongoing crisis that hasn't gotten better. I think we'll talk about that next.
Thank you. Yes, on to question 2. What specific strategies will you put forward for decreasing homelessness in Bremerton? Please share what services you'll support with funding for the already homeless in Bremerton, and what coalitions or outreach providers will you directly work with to help our homeless neighbors?
Absolutely. The key to addressing this growing crisis is collaboration with empathy. First, we need to rely on the experts, folks like Kitsap Community Resources, Bremerton Housing Authority, St. Vincent de Paul, and many others. For the past year, I've met with them every single week to work on a navigation center for Bremerton, a place that provides a continuum of care and housing so that folks have a true pathway out of homelessness. And we've made some great progress, and I've been able to secure some funding for them. In the meantime, the current mayor has refused to even meet with these folks to try and work on this solution. And so there are broken relationships with the city that need to be repaired. Second, I want to empower volunteer organizations and folks that are already on the ground doing great work and connected with bigger organizations, things like Rock the Block and Bremerton Prayer Walk, to connect them with Common Streets, which is a city contracted provider, and many others. It's why I've regularly attended the Kitsap Housing and Homelessness Coalition over the past several years as a council member. And finally, as council president in 2023, I led a tough series of meetings to update our camping ordinance to match the best practices of other cities, because we cannot have folks in unsafe conditions. And there were folks in the street and the sidewalks, in people's yards, and blocking business entrances. And despite the hard work that went with the community to craft a reasonable ordinance, the current mayor wouldn't even sign it. At the end of the day, 16% of the county lives in Bremerton, but over half of those who are unhoused are in Bremerton. So this is a crisis that Bremerton is shouldering, and we can't go it alone. That's why we need a strong mayor who's not afraid to tackle tough issues and work with county and state.
Thank you. Our final question. Please reflect on a decision you've made in a leadership position that you wish had a better outcome. What, if anything, would you have changed and why?
So when I was a director at NASA, which it sounds a lot cooler than it is when it's endless meetings and behind a computer screen like most of us. When I was there, we processed these giant batches of science data to send out to the community so that folks could do their own research and make their own discoveries. And everything was on track until my team realized that there was a major flaw in some of the data that had already been out in the public domain for a couple of weeks, kind of a cosmic level oopsies. So what I did immediately was to work with my team to try and figure out every detail of how it happened, what the effects were, how we're going to fix it. And I was so focused on that for a few days to a week that what I did not do was just get the word out right away that something was wrong and give folks a heads up. And there were some ruffled feathers over that. And what I learned in that time is one of the best things you can do as a leader is to admit right away when something's wrong. Transparency isn't just the right thing to do, it's the fastest way to get folks on board and course correct. And of course, at the end of the day, we got it fixed, we communicated it to folks out there. But the true lesson learned is when something isn't right, acknowledge it right away, tell folks you're working on it. That's what earns trust. Everyone makes mistakes, and that applies to city leadership. No surprise to folks out there, government doesn't get it right every time. But what we have to do is acknowledge that we have true challenges in our city that we're facing, that when we don't do it right, we acknowledge it, and we work to do it right at the end of the day, because leadership is both about honesty and collaboration.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Coughlin, for running for office and sharing your views. I'm Linda Streiskouth on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Please share this video with other voters, and don't forget to return your ballot by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, August 5th.